Ladies and gentlemen, ow. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to another episode of Vanilla Minecraft. And today's episode might be a little bit strange. So, I've actually been trying to start this video for days now. And for some reason, my brain's basically been in off mode for the entire past week. Hello, lag. So, I would try and start out on a build, and in fact I tried several different ones for this episode, and for some reason, none of them really would work out how I wanted them to. I just could not, for the life of me, come up with good designs for things. So, that being the case, I think we're going to try and take it a little easy today, do something a little more mindless, something I can do without having to focus super hard, and hopefully I'll be back to normal next time. We'll see. But what I actually want to work on today is some landscaping around the island. Just some good old terraforming type stuff. And it's actually kind of good that we're doing this, because I was flying around my island just now. In fact, I used like half a stack of fireworks doing so. And honestly, we have a surprising amount that we still need to do. So we've actually been doing this for a while. Elytra, please. Is Elytra broken? Nope, just lagging. We've actually been doing this for a while now, going around the island and landscaping certain areas, like we have our pond area over here, and our beach, and I suppose our volcano counts. But we're still only, I would say, maybe 40% of the way done. We still have the big hill over here. There's a huge chunk of land across this entire side of the island, and over here on this side, over by the kind of crack that we've got going down into our mushroom cavern. And it's just so much space that we still need to landscape. And on top of that, this is only the first pass, the stuff we've been doing. I still want to go back through here and add in other types of trees and stuff to make it a little more diverse and feel a little more interesting. We'll have to experiment with that at some point, but the point is we've got a long way to go and a lot of lag to deal with, apparently. So, that being the case, today what I want to do is landscape this area right here. This kind of little pond that we have that actually connects out to the ocean. In fact, I want to take advantage of that fact even and try and work that into things. So that's what I want to do. And at first what I want to do is just kind of clean up all the cliff faces and probably the water itself. Make these look a little better. You know how we tend to do with, pretty much everywhere on our island. Try and make it look like it's not boring old vanilla terrain. I have a lot of horses stuck on that cliff, I just realized. I only thought it was that one. I didn't see these other two. Well, okay, I'm going to have to save those guys, redo this cliff, hopefully all of this, and we'll see what we do with this area, because it does have a lot of potential. It is a body of water that does connect out to the ocean, and we have a lot of space to work with to add builds into. Obviously, we don't want to go, too overzealous with the building because of the theme that we have on the island, but we do have a lot of space, and we can actually do some interesting stuff with it. We'll talk about that once it's done, but for the beginning here, I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning all of this up. I'm probably not going to do that section over there today because that's going to tie into the hill next to it, but the rest of this stuff, I want to take care of that right now. So, I'm going to go get to it, and I'll see you guys when I'm done. Okay, so here's what we have so far, and I think that looks okay overall. Still a little rough to be sure, but the general shape is there, and I think it looks decent, especially from a distance. Oops. I flew away a moment ago, and it actually looks kind of good from quite a ways out. Preferably further, but I think that looks okay. A little bit of tweaking, and it should do the trick. Now, there are a few problems, and one of them is very apparent from up here. The pond floor is very bland looking, and the issue here is that I went to add in the detail, and what I was going to do, as you may recall, is something like this. Something with farmland and soul sand, mix in some coarse dirts and have some leaf blocks kind of leading down to it and all that. Actually, the same style that we have in this pond area over here. So this is meant to be kind of like a messy pond floor, and I like how it looks. Like from above, it looks like, a muddy pond floor, and I always like that. The issue, and I'm sure many of you have already guessed it, the issue is that in 1.13, soul sand, along with magma blocks, are going to emit bubbles when they're underwater. So that means that doing it in this style would make our entire pond area just have a huge wall of bubbles inside of it. It would kind of look like the entire thing was boiling. Which, while that does sound kind of cool, that's not exactly the style that we're going for. So that means that I need to find an alternative to this style, both for this and for that other ponds area, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to experiment with that. The only thing that comes to mind as a direct replacement for these might be log blocks, but I don't really know how that's going to look. I'll have to try it out. For the time being, though, I'm just going to leave it as it is, and I'll come back to this and try and fix that up at some point. Other than that, though, most of the stuff is in place. Like I said before, it's a little rough, but it does the trick. It gives the general idea. Some little details here and there, maybe a couple boulders on the ledges or a small tree or something along those lines should be good, but for the most part, it's okay. This area over here, though, is pretty unfinished. So there's a few things. One, I didn't really redo the top very much at all, including the tree. Obviously, I need to redo that. I also kind of want to connect this upper part, because we've got these two tall ridges on either side, right? What I would like to do is have an overhang going over them, and then open up this little, kind of inlet thing going out to the ocean. That way we have a path out to the ocean from this body of water, which I think we could do some cool stuff with, and an overhang above, which will just look cool, right? Now, the reason I didn't do that now is that I think I want to redo this hill over here first, just so I know where all the terrain is going to line up, and I didn't want to try and sort that out ahead of time. Again, I don't really want to have to return to this and redo it after it's been done once. So once I redo that hill, I will link these up and then complete that section. Until then, I'm probably going to leave it as it is. The other thing about this area, though, is that this particular cliff face is really bland, right? It seems kind of flat and boring, and even a little strangely shaped. And that's because we're probably going to be doing something with this. Now, I'm not entirely sure what that is yet, and the main idea that I have that may involve this might be going somewhere else. So I'm going to talk to you guys about that idea shortly. Before we do that, though, I want to landscape the other idea, or the other place where that idea may go, rather. Excuse my inability to speak, it's getting kind of late, again. But the other area where this build may be able to go is over here. This was actually the original plan for it. I originally intended for it to go on this cliff face right here, underneath a relatively large project that's going to be going on the surface eventually. So I'm not entirely sure which one we're going to do. Before I present the idea to you guys and ask you what you think, I'm going to go ahead and landscape this area as well, just very quickly, kind of a generic landscaping. Not going to go overboard because, like I said, this is probably going to be changing pretty drastically, at least if we decide to do the project here. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that, and I'll be back with you guys in just a second. So here is this cliff face, and this one looks kind of weird. Do keep in mind that this one will definitely be changing, pretty much no matter what we do with it. I'm either going to come back in and reshape it a bit and add detail and make it look a bit nicer. I just realized I didn't even add the most basic details to it. Oops. But that's fine. So, obviously I could come back in and make it look better, adding in details and reshaping things a little bit. There's some weird areas on it. But this may also be the site of a relatively large project in the future, as I mentioned earlier. And I wanted to get this area at least roughed in today, just so I could convey where this could possibly go. Because it's either going to go here, or it's going to go in that ponds area that we worked at the beginning. Now, in order to kind of figure out where this is, I wanted to show you guys where they're going to be. And I want to get your feedback on this because I honestly cannot make up my mind. So, what I want to build in one of these two areas is a hidden dock. Essentially what I want to do is have a big cavernous kind of entrance. A big hole in the cliff face, either right here or over in the other pond area. And it would go into a big cave with water in it, quite obviously, with the ruins of an old dock, or pier, or whatever it would be called. Not entirely sure what the difference is between those. But essentially it would be kind of like a ruined wooden structure with maybe some ruins of small boats. Obviously no big ships and no big old sailboats or anything like that, but small fishing boats or small boats just to get to nearby islands or over to the volcano and stuff like that, right? So that is what I want to do, and I think that project could look very cool, but I don't know where I want to put it. The original plan was to put it right here, and do keep in mind, I do want it to be relatively large, so the cave entrance would take up the majority of this space. And I think it would look really cool. We could have stuff like rocks coming out of the ocean and kind of blocking the path a little bit. They would have to navigate around them. A lot of stuff hanging down. Of course, there is going to be a big project up top that I've mentioned. That's hopefully happening in the near future, but it's a doozy. So we'll see. So I think that could look really cool. And in this spot in particular, I think it would look really, really neat. But then I was thinking about the other area. The area that we were working at here at the beginning of today's episode. Fireworks. And we have this enclosed pond area, and that honestly matches the hidden civilization theme for this a lot better, because that's, the whole vibe of the island. So, if we were to build that cave-like structure into this particular cliff face, obviously it couldn't be as big. This has half the space that the other wall has. So, instead of having this huge, huge cavern, we would have kind of something a little smaller. Now, because we're not going to be putting huge boats into it, it's not a big deal, but this would be, at best, half the size. And in general, this entire area just isn't as big. It doesn't go back as far. We'd have to kind of keep it relatively shallow, and we couldn't make it near as big, but then it would be hidden, right? It would be this, hidden little alcove dock thing. And then we could have it so the boats would come out into the pond and then circle around and exit out the ocean. And we'd have this kind of widened out and obviously make this feel a little bit better. So conceptually, I really like the idea of that one, but the scale of the other one would be really, really cool. And I'm not entirely sure what to do about that. Now, we could technically do both. We could technically have two boat docks. I'm not sure that that's really practical on a relatively small island civilization like this one, but we could do that. I could always put something else here and just go with a big boat dock over there, but I really like the idea of having boats going in and out of this little passage here and using that to hide. It's just, I wish we had more space, so I'm not entirely sure what to do about that. And before anyone asks, unfortunately we can't do it on this wall, which is a bit bigger, because there is a lot of stuff packed into that hillside. Our brewing room is right down there. We have various cave pathways in between. Our storage room is up top. There's just all kinds of stuff going on in there. So, as far as the boat dock idea goes, it would have to go in here, but again, it's just not all that much space. It would be enough. It would be enough to convey it, but probably not enough to do anything like super duper amazing with it, which is kind of a bummer. But I don't know, maybe it would be worth it because I do like the concept. But then there's the whole scale thing, where the other side could be way bigger and feel more grand, and I'm being indecisive. So hopefully you guys have some suggestions for me on that, because I don't know, I'm honestly kind of leaning towards this one. Like, the more I think about it, just having this huge cave, like, it could be pretty cool. But I don't know, you guys will have to let me know what you think. So that is that. Be sure to let me know if you have any ideas on that or anything like that. And unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to call it here for today. I know the episode's actually like super duper short, I think. Like way shorter than probably I've ever done before. But as I said at the beginning, this episode has been an absolute killer on me for some reason or other. And yeah, it's been a little rough. Next week, I will hopefully be on track and will not be massively behind and struggling to get things done. We'll see how things go. Though, in the near future, I may have other problems when it comes to getting videos done, because 1.13 is nearing completion, and obviously I have to do my whole 1.13 overview thing. So, I'm really behind on that. I really need to start the building process and all of the asset creation and whatnot. And that is extraordinarily time-consuming. So there might be a point, sometime within the next few weeks, where I get a little bit slacking on videos, more so than normal. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'll be able to keep up. I should be able to, as long as I use my time appropriately. But let's be honest, I've never been particularly good at that. So we'll see. We'll see how things go. Not entirely sure, but if I miss a video or two, that's probably why, and it will be worth it, hopefully, because I'm going to try and make that video, the whole 1.13 one, particularly good. So we'll see how that goes. But if I miss a video, that's most likely why, just so you know ahead of time. Anyway, all of that being said, I've rambled on enough, and it is quite late, so I'm going to get going. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you have suggestions for me for that whole boat dock situation, because, indecisive. And, well, I'll see you guys next time. So, thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.